done.
You know, I used to have this mindset when it comes to video games nowadays. People being really sweaty for no reason, microtransactions.
Fuck you! Do you want a chicken nugget?
Video games being expensive, and even the file size for these games being gigantic for no reason. I was very pessimistic of the gaming world. Whenever I meet someone new, I ask them, what kind of video games do you play, bro? And they either answer League, Valorant, Fortnite, COD, 2K. I mean, personally, whenever I would play these types of games, I would just put it down after 5 minutes because they're boring as hell. I'm sorry, but those video games don't do it for me, man. Hell, I don't even play multiplayer games considering how much sweat goes on. Like, dude, it's just a video game. Calm down, man. And don't even get me started with esports. That's what ruined gaming for me, personally. Because I'm a filthy casual. I like to play my games casually, but I think I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Since nowadays I feel we're in the gaming renaissance. Ooh. I mean, despite what I said, this video is sort of a response to this funny video that I stumbled. No hate to the guy, I bet he's chill, but the things he said in the video, the guy only plays games with guns and balls. I'm sorry, man, but you really need to broaden your horizons when it comes to video games. There's all sorts of video games to be played right now. So that's why I'll be talking about why gaming isn't boring. Starting with,
Guys, look, it's one of my greatest achievements. Wario Land 4 on the game.
this is possibly my favorite topic to talk about because I am a connoisseur when it comes to old video games. Thank you to James Rolfe for making me autistic for retro video games. I've been ROM collecting for a long time now. It can be considered a hobby at this point. And so far, I have over 4,000 plus ROMs on my 4TB external hard drive. You know, I could have bought one of those plug-and-play hard drives, but I didn't. You know, like for, I guess, spyware, I don't know. And I don't think I'm stopping anytime soon because, first of all, preservation. And if the game isn't available for purchase, then piracy is the way to go. Let's be real. Fuck you, Nintendo. Every time I download ROMs, I keep discovering new games that I haven't heard of before. From NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, Sega CD, Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast, and PlayStation 1 especially. Holy shit. Making me put some of them on my backlog so I can possibly sit down and play these games one day and have new experiences with them. One of those experiences is playing the first 2 Fallout games.
She makes me poop, then I make her pee.
Man, I love Fallout. My first introduction to the series was for the Xbox 360, like everybody else of course. I love the retrofuturism this game has, I love the barren wasteland of Washington DC while super mutants are chasing after me. Good times. I love the lore even though Bethesda butchered it to hell. They made it a FPS game, so of course I'll be turned off by the isometric view. It's a CRPG after all. The first game developed by Interplay and 2 by Black Owl Studios. Fallout 1 and 2 are extremely good games. I don't know about tactics though. The writing is spot on, the game is hard, it doesn't even hold your hand throughout the whole game. The atmosphere and just the overall vibe this game has going on, I instantly love this game because Fallout felt like an RPG. I mean, of course it's an RPG, but I'm saying that because Fallout 4 was lacking in the RPG department and everybody would like, I don't know, jerk off to that game. I don't know, the gameplay of Fallout 4 just got really stale after like playing it for the 3rd time. I'm sorry. But the first 2 Fallout games are truly, I guess, magical. No, magical just sounds too cheesy. Just play the first 2 Fallout games. And New Vegas. Yeah. Half-Life is a good one.
Are you seriously watching porn by yourself?
No, I'm with the science team.
I know it's an FPS, but I like to call it a boomer shooter. I first played Half-Life 2 on the orange box, you know, that one game that came with TF2 and Portal all bundled in one package. And I really liked that game, especially after beating it. I was really hoping for Half-Life 3, but that's just a meme within itself. It will never happen because, you know, haha, Gabe can't count to 3. Lamau. So a few years ago, I played Half-Life for the first time, and I'm talking about the first Half-Life for PC. And I was having a great time. It was so good. It was actually a really good and solid FPS game. Just constant action and real-time cutscenes, I think. None of that stupid-ass cinematic shit you see nowadays. I'm looking at you, Sony, with your stupid-ass games, making games like movies. Like, what the hell? Getting the HEV suit really sets the mood for the game. It really makes you feel like Gordon Freeman. Why did I write that? I recently finished Opposing Forces starring Adrian Shepard. I want to see him again in the future Half-Life game. He's a very underrated character in the Half-Life universe. So if you haven't gotten the game, I heard you can play the full version of Half-Life using Synergy. Yeah. IndieAnjelo from YouTube.com. So far, you've only talked about 2 PC games. What about old console games? Okay then, boom, Earthbound. Mother 2, known in Japan of course, is this quirky JRPG game taking place in modern America where you play as this kid named Ness who hits birds and dogs with his baseball bat, and it escalates to the point where you're fighting a entity called Gygas from taking over the world. Usually JRPGs have anime dudes with big swords in it, but nah, it's just some kid and his friends going out on an adventure. Earthbound was one of its kind back in the day. It's one of those JRPGs that is completely different and unique for its time, and it inspired so many indie game devs to make their own Earthbound inspired RPGs. I'll be getting to the indie game part in a bit, so sit tight. So please play this game if you can. It's wacky, it's funny, and absurd most of the time. If you really want to play this game on your Super Nintendo, yeah, good luck getting a physical copy because Jesus Christ, man. And after when you're done with Earthbound, play Mother 3 next, the sequel that never came to America, but as an English translation patch made by a fan, or go back and play the first Mother or Earthbound Beginnings. If I'm going to be honest, I don't really like that name. Like, I just prefer Mother, or just call it Earthbound 0. That makes a lot more sense if I'm going to be honest with you, man. Anyways, speaking of English translation patches, there are so many Japanese games that are translated over the years. There's this one game that has yet to be translated though, and that game is called Blood Plus One Night Kiss for the PS2. A game based on an anime that I haven't watched personally, but the game looks eerily similar to No More Heroes. Speaking of No More Heroes, I recently just finished that game on my Steam Deck. I actually played the game on my Steam Deck, and I mentioned the Steam Deck in this video, so I'm so happy that I get to mention the Steam Deck. Anyways, and it was a good time. It was like No More Heroes. It was genuinely a good time. The game oozes style and character artistically. The game itself may look like a janky PS2 game, but I live for janky PS2 games. It's so good. There's also ROM hacks you can consider playing, like Smash Remix, which adds more content such as characters, stages, and modes, making this ROM hack alone a lot better than the original title for the N64. And when I was a kid, I was into Super Mario World, and when I found out that a website called SMW Central, a site that hosts ROM hacks of Mario World, I would go ham by downloading patches using the IPS patcher or something and put them onto my SD card so I can play them on my hacked Wii. Those were the good days, man. So when it comes to old games, there is so much to discovering old games that you've missed out over the years, and perhaps you can replay some of these games too. I know I have. Indie games are literally keeping the game industry alive, in my opinion. We keep getting game after game, dude. Like, indie game devs are literally developing games that work and are more fun than the shit we keep getting from big companies nowadays. Ah yes, I like to play the same Far Cry Radio Tower open world game for the 500th time. Oh, and let's have microtransactions and expansion passes in a $60 game too. That will definitely engage the players even more. Fuck off, man. But yeah, for the past decade now, we've been getting so many indie games that I lost count even. Such as Shovel Knight, because that game actually plays like an NES game. Tight controls, hard but fair difficulty, and a killer soundtrack. Genuinely one of the best video game soundtracks I've heard in my entire life. I remember playing this one for my 3DS at the time, and over the years we get 3 expansion packs. There's Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and King Knight. And King Knight being my favorite expansion. And best of all, these were free updates to the vanilla game. I don't know nowadays since Shovel Knight is getting a definitive edition soon. But yeah, go play Shovel Knight. Celeste is also a good platformer. It takes notes from Super Meat Boy, but it is more, I should say, precise that you actually have to be careful. Each level in the game itself introduces a new game mechanic, making the game feel a lot more fresh as you play through the game. Bloodstained is a superb successor to Castlevania, developed by the same person who made Symphony of the Night for the PS1. I feel like this game belongs in the Castlevania lore, but it's completely its own thing. It's genuinely a great game that rewards players for exploration. Now, hear this, right? Have you been waiting for a new Wario Land game ever since Shake It for the Nintendo Wii? Well, Pizza Tower is a thing. I recently played this game this year, and I can safely say this is the game of all time. The game itself is grandiose, from the sprites, animations, and especially the music. Overall, it's just super fun to play, and serves as a successor to the Wario Land series, rightfully so. And there are a lot more coming out soon that I'm personally looking forward to playing. .45 Parabellum Bloodhound, a cyberpunk Parasite Eve-like game. Goblin America, which is a weird-looking FPS game akin to Cruelty Squad. And speaking of Cruelty Squad, Psycho Patrol R, there's Sunset Devils, 500 Caliber Contracts with a Z, Peripetia, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Gunmetal Gothic, Anton Blast, and a few I forgot on the top of my head. Recently, I found this game on Twitter, which is the case of finding new indie games that are being developed on Twitter or X, called Noko Must Die. It's this third-person shooter game with very minimal 3D graphics similar to the PS1. Very fun and weird for my liking. There's a demo for you to play right now. The link to that will be in the description below. There's this game I've been following for a long time now, and that is called Radio the Universe. This is a top-down hack-and-slash game, basically a Souls-like game. Can I just say the game looks phenomenal? The detail in the sprite work is insane, complementing the cyberpunk vibe throughout. What's crazy is that the game was funded on Kickstarter back in 2012, and it's still in development till this day. Even though the developer is working on this game for a long time, I can't wait for the full game to come out, since the demo really impressed me. I don't think the indie game scene is stopping anytime soon, because these individuals are so dedicated to bringing their creative minds into reality. And most of these games are coming in non-stop each time, and you're better off playing some of these games than buying a $70 game nowadays. Yes, this is true. You can in fact play free games on your PC, unless you have a PC in the first place, but I digress. Let's start off with itch.io, where you can download a dozen games for you to play made by people in their spare time. There are bundles you can purchase through events, and sometimes, like I said in the indie game segment, games you probably didn't hear about until you saw the page for it. It's a cool website where you can essentially play free indie games. MyAbandonware.com is pretty cool too. You can download full-on PC games from there, which I find actually sick. The PC games in question that are not being sold anymore in the market, so this is your one-way ticket in downloading them. Fan games even, from Mario, Sonic, Pokemon, even though Nintendo's taking them down.
What's it all mean? What's the point?
Why do people defend this stupid company is something I don't understand till this day. A fan game or mod I've been waiting for it to come out for so long is the Lisa the Pointless remake, or the MU, announced all the way back in 2017. which is crazy because the developers are going all in on this one and still haven't gotten an update for chapter 2 after all these years. It's honestly going to be worth the wait. In the meantime, there is Lisa the Timeless, another good fan mod, Lisa the Fool, a retelling of Painful's story with new characters and environments you can explore. If you ever want to play your favorite game but want a different experience, there are also mods for them. Recently, Fallout London came out for Fallout 4. There are multiple DLC size mods for Skyrim, plus mods to make your experience even better than the vanilla game. I mean, just look at this shit. It's a completely different game, man. Really, the sky's the limit when it comes to owning a gaming PC and having access to downloading games / mods from the internet, because really, what can you do on a console aside from jailbreaking it? Nothing. You have to pay in order to play online. That's it. I talked about how dog shit the gaming industry is, but let me tell you though, there are a few good games to be played if you think they'll be, worth your time. For starters, Elden Ring is a good example of a competent AAA game because the guys over at FromSoft knew what they were doing after all these years. They took the open world of Breath of the Wild and made it into their own thing. Piss hard, but a fun time from start to end. What made this game stand out though is the exploration aspect, and it rewards players in the process. Boss fights are engaging, even though they take too long because, again, they're hard, lol. You can screw around with different builds, making each playthrough unique, making this game replayable. Red Dead Redemption 2, objectively the best open world game of all time. Even better than GTA 5 in my opinion. Tells a story of outlaws struggling in a world that's becoming more civilized. What truly makes this game alive is the interactivity. Really, you can talk to strangers and you can either kill them or help them with whatever their problem is. Your horse can poop, you can clean your gun, you can do all sorts of things in Red Dead 2. It's so good.
He's IndieAnjelo.
Metal Gear Solid 5, a great in brackets unfinished game by Hideo Kojima. It's like Peace Walker but on steroids. You can build your mother base by kidnapping soldiers and making them your own, and punching kids too, lol. Really though, Venom Snake is literally me. The Resident Evil remakes, mainly 2 and 3 and 4.
I would've fucked the daylights out of that Chinese lady.
3 being a major letdown, and I never played the first one. I should get around to that. Although I love 2. They really gave the original game new life with the remake. Exploration is very fun, going back and forth to locations, in brackets, backtracking, where an item is required to advance, and the game at times can be scary. Seeing Mr. X show up out of nowhere is life-threatening. Plus, you can play 2 campaigns, Leon and Claire, making the entire experience replayable if you want to unlock the extra stuff the game offers. The Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake for the Switch, even though I see it more of a remaster more than anything, is a good game. Still very enjoyable, like how I remembered when I played the original GameCube game back in the day. Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered is also fun despite the questionable censorship here and there, but it still has the heart of the original anyways, with quality of life improvements to the overall gameplay. I'm sure some of the voice acting can be better, but I think Frank's new voice really grew on me, and they finally gave Otis a voice because, man.
Well, if you're gonna go, at least take this train safe. You might take this map too.
Honestly, for this one, just stick with the original. It's available on Steam if you want to give it a shot. All I'm saying, if you, the consumer, think there's a game worth investing your time in without feeling ripped off, because let's be honest, most of the games that are coming out from most of these notorious GameStop companies are unfinished pieces of shit, hyping you up through their marketing schemes and feel let down because the game can either be disappointing or just straight up dog shit.
You're spinning me around. My feet are off the ground. I don't know where I
So what did we take from this video? First of all, I can reassure you that gaming isn't dead at all. If you play the same games all the time, of course you're going to have that mindset, and it's completely normal.
Like, I hate Call of Duty. I fucking hate it. It fucking ruined my life.
But that doesn't stop you from trying out different genres of video games. Hell, games you haven't even played before. In this day and age of gaming, it's changing quite drastically. What I always hear mostly from people is, oh man, the graphics in this video game, bro, it's so good, bro. The graphics. Yeah, sure, graphics. Ooh, but is the game any good? You know, is it going to be a broken mess, or will the story be boring? Those are the questions you ask yourself when looking at a game. And I'm not going to wait for these game corporate companies to make their games better or get better in general, because what's the point? The shit they're doing is making them money anyways, so we'll never get Banjo 3, or we'll never get a new Rayman or Crash 5, but instead we'll be getting a new season for some stupid ass free-to-play FPS game. Like, what gives, man? That's why I made this video, to let the gamers know, to let the gamer nation know that there are other options to look into. And if you already know about this, then you Gucci, man. You Gucci as hell though, man. Fuck. So in a way, spread the word, play old games using emulators, play indie games that might pique your interest, or play that one random game you downloaded from itch. And for you guys, let me know down in the comments below what games you've played, or what you suggest from old, new, indie, maybe some AAA slop games you enjoyed, and the likes. So I'm IndieAnjelo from YouTube.com. I will see you guys at a later time. Ciao.
This fucking game.
This game fucking sucks my dick.
I would rather look at my own shit in my toilet floating than play this fucking game.
Oh yeah, the PS5 has no games. Get a Steam Deck.